Hey, chums, welcome back to the long overdue Game with Chums podcast. I am your host once again, the fabulous, the bearded, the in a new place, Paulus. And with me is my ever faithful compatriot and companion and all around nice person, the low energy. He's got a cold. They got a cold, Mr. Raws. Mr. Ross. I kind of would ask how you are, but I kind of gave it away in my introduction of you.
Yeah, rough. So this is probably going to be a fairly brief one. I've
Mm,
had a very rotten cold for the last week,
yeah.
and I didn't go into work on Thursday or Friday, and you can probably hear in my voice that I'm kind of fucked.
It sounds quite sexy, to be honest. Like having a cold makes your voice a bit sexier. Well, makes
Very,
anyone's voice
it's
sexier.
very
Yeah,
husky until you
husky.
like start coughing up phlegm and stuff. Then it's
Yeah,
not
yeah,
sexy anymore.
yeah. Um, cool, man. So, like, I would say, what have you been playing? But if you've been ill, probably not much. So, what have
I've
you
been
been up to? Is Mr. Ross is
that's gonna
coughing?
that's gonna happen a lot.
Mm,
I've been playing a bit. That I was saying to you before we started. I haven't been out of bed before 11 a.m. for the last 4 days in a row. So I've just been
mm.
lying around a lot, but I've been playing a bit of stuff.
Bit of
It's been a
stuff.
while since the last podcast we did.
Probably about 2 months, I think.
It's been a while. I think I
Mm,
mentioned then that I was like restarting Tales of Arise because I never finished it. So I
mm,
just finished that this weekend. And because obviously like the expansion came out 10 days
mm-hmm,
ago as of recording this. So I'll
mm,
get around to that at some point. And I've put
mm,
about 12 hours into Alan Wake's 2 since it came out, which is very, very good.
mm.
I was going to do
Yeah.
a video of that when it dropped, but it was just didn't get the time. And then by the time I had the time, it was like a few days old. So it
Mm,
seemed like it'd be a lot of for no point.
mm,
But yeah, it's very, very good. It's quite different
mm,
from the first game. It's more like it plays more like the recent Resident Evil remakes in terms of like you've got an inventory with limited space and you've got like limited um consumables and stuff, and you've got like environmental puzzles to work out. It's very much like the new Resi remakes, but obviously with like Remedy's weird style, which is exactly what I wanted it to be. I love Remedy's games, so I'm very, very happy about how good it is. I'm playing it on PC and it is very heavy. I'm like, even with like DLSS and frame gen on, there are times when it's like dropping to like 40 odd FPS on a 4070 Ti, but that's with like high preset and like medium ray tracing. It's a very heavy game to run. Apparently,
mm,
it runs pretty well on the consoles as well. I think there's a quality and performance mode on that. I think they both run reasonably well. But I thought, as it's Remedy, and like obviously I replayed Control beforehand, and I played that on Xbox One X when that first came out, and then I recently replayed it on PC with like everything maxed out with all the ray tracing and everything, and it looked incredible. So I thought, yeah, I've got to get Alan Wake 2 on PC. Also helped by the fact that it's a digital only game everywhere, so there's not like that the draw of a physical edition to make me buy it on console. Yeah, it's really good. And
mm. Cool.
I've been I rewatched Evangelion because I hadn't. It's probably been more than 20 years since I last watched it, and
Mm,
I watched it on Netflix for convenience, but it's not a great way to watch it, to be honest. I know everyone said that at this point, between like the new translation kind of messing up some lines. But then there's loads of text on screen that just goes completely like untranslated, and there's no "Fly Me to the Moon" at the end of the episodes. It's not a great way to watch it, but it's a convenient way to watch it, I guess. Because otherwise, you're looking at buying discs. I have the Platinum Perfect Edition on my shelf over there, which is like worth hundreds now. But I just thought I'd watch it on streaming for convenience. And then I've
mm,
just been keeping up with Jujutsu Kaisen, which is going all kinds of bad for people at the moment. Not bad in like the series is bad, but bad things happening to people
Mm.
in the series. But it's good. I'm enjoying it. So other
Mm.
than sitting around and like blowing my nose and coughing, that's what I've been doing. What have you been up to?
Um, well, since the our last podcast, I've moved into a new apartment, flat as we call it here. Well, we call it apartment as well, but flat. In your old neck of the woods. I won't say where, but yeah,
Yeah, you
it's
don't want to
just
get
been
doxxed.
so moved in there, just getting everything read sorted. As you can see, I've got pictures up at the moment of the for the audio listeners. I have like Princess Mononoke here, great film. The original
Very first
Spider-Man,
Spider-Man cover.
yeah, and you can't really see it in the end there, but it is Godzilla at the end there. I think he's fighting. He's it's the one, the one where what's the who's the moth? The
Mothra.
butterfly, not Mothra, the big butterfly thing.
Oh, I can't. Yeah, I know what you mean. Can't think of
Yeah,
the name of
that
it. To begin with
yeah,
a G.
Not Gamma. Yeah. Anyway, it's the one with the butterfly first makes an appearance. Yeah, so I got that up. So I've just been getting myself all slowly set up and settled in the new place. Got a sofa, so that's good. A nice sofa.
Always need one of those.
You got it's a game changer. Once you have a sofa, you just sit in front of the TV and just watch and lounging and falling asleep on there. It's so comfy. But yeah, so I haven't really had time to play much. My streaming is non-existent. I streamed a bit last night, but other than that, not too much. I mean, like you're talking about like Alan Wake 2. I haven't played that yet. But they're like also like talking about like collector's editions. The Baldur's Gate 3 Deluxe Edition has been announced and it's coming out on Xbox in sometime in December. I think we'll probably get an exact date during the Game Awards later.
Well, the game
So,
is coming out digitally first. I think the physical edition's like January or February or something.
oh really? I don't
Yeah.
know if I don't know if I want to wait because I've been wanting to play that game for a while. So I
Mm.
probably will get a digital version. But I would like the physical. The physical looks really good. So
It looks really good. They've gone like above and beyond with that, and it's like 70 quid as well. It's
really,
pretty much like standard game price, but you get loads of stuff thrown in.
yeah. So I'll probably grab myself a copy of that when it comes out. But yeah, man, like it's been a while since we've done a podcast. A lot has happened in the world of video games, and also in the world of like um
The world.
media in general. Attack on Titan final season was released.
Yeah, you remember when people
Uh,
cared about that?
I mean, I think people still care. I mean, it's the highest rated anime ever at the moment. So I think a
They've
lot of people.
strung it out so much though. It's
Mm,
like it's the final season, then you get to the end. It's like actually it's another part of the final season, and you get to the
mm.
end of that, and they're like, "Psych, there's another part." And you're like, just please stop. I
I
mean,
think it's
it was
like
good,
a
but
movie.
just tell us it's going to be like the final season in
Mm.
multiple parts. Don't try and like psych people out with it. It's just stupid.
Yeah, I haven't got around to watching it yet, but I will do. I think it's a movie. It's like an hour and a half movie.
I think there's like two like movie length episodes of it.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
like I had a look at it on Crunchyroll the other day, and I was like, oh, when am I going to find the time for that?
Mm. So yeah, but just that, man. But like we're gonna make this a brief episode because of your illness. So I think we're just gonna sort of jump straight into like our topics, which are unless there's anything in gaming news that I mean, does this relate to our topic? Kind of does.
Yeah, I guess it does. Yeah, because it's kind of a
Uh,
story that came out in the last couple of days. But there's probably been loads of news since we last did one, so
yeah,
we
there's
can
been a
just skip
ton
it
of
for this time.
yeah, it's not relevant now.
There's a
So
new Steam Deck. Um, PlayStation Portal came out. Some other stuff happened. There you go. We're done.
and there's been a leak of The Last of Us Part Two remaster.
Oh yeah, it leaked out like half an hour before they announced it.
Hmm
Um,
So
Yeah, it's official now.
It's official now. Well,
Yeah,
they do like to do remasters of their games, don't they?
a 3-year-old
Uh,
game.
it's always the way. But
At
yeah,
least there's like a $10 upgrade though for people that played it on PS4, so that's something.
something I suppose. But yeah, we're gonna jump into our topic, which is gonna it's not one particular topic. I think it's we're gonna discuss a couple. So let's just dive into the our first discussion, which is announcing games early,
Too early, you might
too
say.
early. Yeah. So this was your topic, so I'm gonna let you sort of lead, and I'll jump in with my 2 cents.
Well, I mean, people have been saying for a while that Microsoft announced games too early, and I think it's kind of hard to argue that when you've got stuff like, like Fable was what 3 years between like I think it was 2020 E3 time they just put up like that tiny teaser, and then we saw nothing until this year when we finally got a bit of an in-game look, but we still have no idea when the game's coming. Same with Perfect Dark. I mean, what was that? That was like 2019, wasn't it? Or was that 2020 as well? I can't remember.
Mm.
But just like announcing stuff with just like a CG teaser or something, and then you just don't hear about it for years. And I get why they do it. Partially, it's because they want to like entice developers to join the team to work on that project, and partially to say, hey, look, we actually have a lineup. Like, here's stuff to get excited for. But the longer sort of you go without showing any of it, I think the more irritated people get. And it happened to Sony a bit last gen as well when they like announced 4 games, and then like the next 2 or 3 E3s was just those games again with a couple of like third party things showing it thrown in. Like how many times did they show The Last of Us 2 um, and Ghost of Tsushima and stuff like that? And then yeah, they seem to have kind of gotten to a decent cadence now, putting out game after game. Obviously, they still have times when they're not putting stuff out for months. But yeah, I think you see a lot of because I follow like the Xbox thread on Reset Era, which is just all about like the first party stuff, and you just see a lot of kind of discontent bubbling up about how stuff was announced like years ago and you still don't know anything about it. And yeah, I feel like that's kind of the case for a lot of their stuff at the moment. But I don't know. What do you think about that? Do you think it's a good idea to announce stuff early and then just kind of tease bits and pieces, or would you prefer? Because obviously, like Bethesda now is part of Xbox. I remember
Yeah,
what they did with
and, s-
Fallout
and
4.
so
They announced
so
it, and it was like
so so is Activision. I don't
Activision's
think we
now too.
yeah yeah that happened during our hiatus of the
I think it
podcast.
did, didn't it? Yeah,
We didn't discuss it, but
yeah.
now it's part of Xbox.
But yeah, I mean, like you think back to what Bethesda did with Fallout 4, where they announced it, and then like 4 or 5 months later, the game was out, and that kind of feels like the opposite of what Xbox um do. I mean, even once like Bethesda were under Xbox, you had Starfield announced, and then it came out like a year and a half after they first showed it at their at one of their events. So I don't know. What do you prefer? Like the short hype cycle, like Fallout, or do you prefer it when they just show up to multiple events? Does it just feel like it's
Um,
too long and you're seeing the same thing over and over again?
I kind of see why Xbox did it because obviously there was a big for a while there was that narrative where that Xbox doesn't have games. Um, so I can see why they sort of announced it really early. Like they just announced that there was Fable coming out, Perfect Dark, and the such and Avowed and stuff, just to show that they are working on games. Like it's kind of like if they didn't announce anything, if they didn't announce those games, no one will really be talking about it. People still think, oh, maybe there'll still be rumors. Are they working on games? Are they working on these titles? So I think Xbox were just like, well, we are. These are happening. Um, but yeah, 2 or 3 years is a kind of really early to be announcing them. But it was during the time where Xbox was sort of struggling with first party and not struggling, not releasing first party. So I can sort of see the reasoning behind it. But yeah, and now that they've released it, they still haven't released much in terms of way of gameplay or anything for. I know Fable had some, but people were questioning was that gameplay, and you can see a lot of it was, but there was no sort of hub so people can see on there. The Fable trailer was good, but I think people didn't want to see like a CGI. They wanted to see gameplay, but you can tell a lot of it was in-game engine. So yeah, they wanted to see some of the game. Um, well, yeah, um, now that Xbox have acquired nearly everyone, we do know that there'll be games coming out. So I don't think they'll be announcing games as early as they have been doing. They did in the past.
Mm,
So because we know now that their first party studios are crazy. There's so many now.
30 odd.
Uh, yeah, and I don't think it's the end of them of Xbox buying. They won't be buying any publishers, but I can see them buying studios. Now that Embracer is going down the toilet, maybe see them buying some IPs off Embracer
Mm.
or buying some studios. Or was it? Did they bought studios, didn't they, or was it just IPs?
Who
It was just
Embracer? They bought
yeah.
everything they could get their hands on. They bought Dark Horse. They bought like the rights to the Lord of the Rings. They've just
Mm,
been buying whatever they can get their hands on. But that's
mm,
another kind of aspect to like announcing games too early. Um, because then stuff like if you do what like Bethesda did and you announce Fallout 4 and then like 4 or 5 months later it's out and you can play it, then that kind like significantly lessens the risk of the game like getting cancelled or something or going into dev hell because by the time you're showing it, it's sort of almost finished. And and that's another big risk with announcing stuff early, and we've seen that from with some Star Wars stuff as well. Like, remember Quantic Dream? They were making a Star Wars game.
mm,
Is that still coming? Who knows? Apparently, that was literally all they had. That trailer was literally all they had. Um,
mm,
so why announce that early when, like, especially when the studio is going through upheaval as well with the abuse allegations and everything around that studio. But yeah, and the other thing that kind of prompted this discussion was the KOTOR remake, which we were both very angry about when it was announced. I think it's safe to say because it was announced as a PlayStation console exclusive or timed exclusive or who knows what. Don't think they ever actually qualified that. Um, and it's just Jeff Grubb, who's got a pretty good track record. He's not just like some schmuck on the internet. He's a games journo. He's in the biz. He's got contacts. He knows stuff. And he said recently, like we knew it was like I think they'd taken it back to the drawing board at some point because it was Aspire Media, wasn't it? The ones that did like the remasters of KOTOR 1 and 2 for modern platforms. And I think all they've ever done is like port stuff, but they were supposedly leading this KOTOR remake. And apparently it wasn't in a very good state and it got taken away from them. Jeff Grubb has recently come out and said it's just not being worked on in any way at the moment. So I mean, is that even likely to come out? What was the point of announcing it if it's that early that it can literally just be someone can just be like, "Nah, you're done."
yeah, I think it's more to get the fans hyped, as they say. I mean, when it was announced, like the internet sort of nearly exploded. It's a way to get like interest and people talking about it. Um, so I can see why they did it. They got us talking about it, and
They
obviously
did.
being it being a PlayStation exclusive, sort of really like sort of stirred the pot,
Hmm.
so to speak, of like Xbox, PlayStation buying exclusivity for certain titles. I mean, it was probably going to be timed. I could see it being timed. Uh, but again, with Final Fantasy VII remake, that was supposed to be timed, and look what's.
Yeah,
I don't
3
think
years so far.
I don't think it's coming out to other platforms until
Well,
the
three and a
trilogy
half
comes
years
out.
now, in fact.
I
Yeah,
think it's going to be until the trilogy's done, and then they'll let it come out on Xbox.
yeah, maybe a year after the last bit comes out, at which point no one's going
Mm,
to give a shit. But
no,
yeah,
that's Karen.
I was going to
Oh,
say regarding KOTOR, like I get what you're saying, like they wanted to announce it to like hype fans up and everything, but I mean, the original is 20 years old. They probably could have waited another year to see if they actually had something worth announcing. It's like it's not like it was people going, "Come on, where is it?" Like nobody knew it was actually being worked on. They could have waited another year, make sure they had a solid foundation, then announced it.
Mm.
But yeah, it just feels like a lot of these like early announcements are just kind of trading on like hype cycles that sometimes don't go anywhere, which is going to make people even more like what is going to be make people more annoyed, not announcing a KOTOR remake as they haven't for the last 20 years anyway, or announcing one and then canning it. Like people are going to be a lot more annoyed at the second scenario, I think.
Isn't Bracer Group going down the drain? Is that what's happening? What did they just buy loads of studios and doing nothing with them? What was the point of them of Embracer Group buying all this sort of all these studios and owning these IPs? What was the point? They haven't done anything with them.
Well, this is the other side of that coin, I guess. And yeah, Embracer Group is they posted like a big loss, and now they're closing. They're looking to close down studios, spin studios off, sell studios off. I bet they won't sell any IP though, because that's like the valuable part of all this stuff as far as like a company is concerned. Because then they can get rid of the studio and stop having to pay people and pay rent on buildings and stuff, but then they can license the IP out and make money out of that, which is a very cutthroat capitalistic way of looking at it. But I mean, this is the industry we find ourselves in. But yeah, I mean, they had like over 100 studios at one point.
Mm.
I'm just looking at Wikipedia. As of September 2023, Embracer Group has 129 internal game development studios and is engaging more than 15,000 employees across the world.
Jesus.
15,000 people. How many of those are going to lose their jobs because they just wanted to, you know, cash was cheap, so let's just buy whatever we can get our hands on. And now those people are going to suffer for it. But they supposedly had a big contract worth like 2 billion a year or something that they were basically counting on to keep them afloat that fell through. And I think it's kind of come out that it was like the Saudi in public investment fund, and they pulled out, and now they're in trouble. And all these studios and IPs and everything they've sucked up are also in trouble. And I think Aspire is one of those, isn't it? I'm pretty sure Aspire is owned by by them.
Mm.
Embracer, that's the word I was looking for. So yeah, I mean, not even that long ago as well, they bought like Crystal Dynamics and Eidos Montreal from Square Enix for like
Mm.
300 million, which is like I think, which just seems like a very small amount of money for two like AAA studios. And yeah, what's going to happen to them? Like I know a lot of Xbox fans were kind of disappointed that Crystal Dynamics were bought by Embracer when a lot of people wanted to see them with Xbox. And obviously they're the main developer on Perfect Dark at this point, so it would have made a lot of sense from that um, point of view as well. But yeah, what's going to happen to all these studios?
Not people going to lose their jobs. It looks like. I
I think
mean, it doesn't look like Sony's in a good financial place situation to buy them. They've been laying people off in their studios as well, cutting back costs and stuff. So it
hmm,
doesn't look like they're doing too well. Um, the other players in there, but maybe I don't know, it's like a big developer studio, maybe publisher. Uh, EA. I don't think any Japanese studios will publishers will want anything like that. I mean, like Square Enix used to own Crystal Dynamics and they sold them off, so I don't think they want it. So it's probably going to be like a Western company. But I'm not too sure who. It's like everyone's sort of tighten their purse strings at the moment.
Mm.
The only one splashing cash is Xbox. Yeah. But with the way like purchases went with the purchase of Activision, I don't think that would look too good if they went and bought some of these studios. I mean, it'd be good because we know they can afford it and they're actually making games, putting them studios to work. But it's not looking good for those people. It's a shame. Embracer just had Saudi money and now the Saudis are pulled out and now they're like, oh shit. Now we're gonna like you say they probably sell off the studios but only keep the IPs. That's what's gonna make them the money.
Mm.
But
I mean,
what they
they started licensing out the Tomb Raider IP to Amazon to like develop something with it.
mm,
Um, so yeah, that's probably what they're probably going to end up gutting a load of these studios, keeping like the name and the IPs, and just laying thousands of people off, which is just an awful situation. Um, like hopefully, some of the studios do get picked up by other publishers if that's like possible, and then keep those people together, keep those teams together, keep people in work. But I have a feeling that Embracer are going to screw this up as well, like the whole selling off studios because they're going to want to sell. They're going to want to make money back. They're going to want to try and sell the studios at a premium, but retain the IP, and then nobody's going to want them because, like, again, the IP is kind of the most valuable part of it. Like, is anyone going to buy Crystal Dynamics without the Tomb Raider IP? Possibly, because they're a proven AAA studio, but that's going to be a big sweetener if they get the Tomb Raider IP with it. And then like Eidos Montreal are a really good studio. Like the Guardians of the Galaxy game, massively underrated. It absolutely flopped, but it's a really good game. And they're a very talented studio. I wouldn't mind seeing Xbox pick them up, to be honest, because they make the kind of games that Xbox is kind of missing, like third person, like action adventure stuff. Um, but yeah, I mean, there was even rumors on them looking to sell off Gearbox, and Gearbox are one of like they were like the crown jewel of Embracer for the last couple of years, making like Borderlands makes a lot of money, and yeah, there was talk of them looking to sell them off for like 1 billion or something stupid like that. But I bet you they'd hold on to the Borderlands IP, and then no one is going to want to buy the studio. Because then you buy a big studio like that, they're like hundreds of people at Gearbox. If you don't have the Borderlands IP for them to get to work on, they're going to have to spin up something new, and that's going to take time. And yeah, I don't know. I just don't know what it's just a big mess, big mess, and they've done it all to themselves by buying up all these studios with no proper plan for it, other than like people are speculating the idea was just to buy up whatever they could and then just start like contracting out like work for hire stuff. But apparently that's not working. A lot of the games they've put out have been pretty mid. Like they've put out quite a lot of remasters of stuff like the Darksiders games and stuff like that. And they put out, I think they put a fair bit of money into like the new Saints Row, and that flopped. They
mm.
just haven't really been putting much out. Just had a quick look on Wikipedia. 1,300 people work at Gearbox. That's crazy. I think that's like bigger than Bungie. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean,
that's
yeah.
oh, go on.
I mean,
Oh,
everyone's downsizing apart from Xbox at the moment. They're hiring more people. So it looks good for Xbox at the moment, having all these studios and especially having COD under there. It's funny, like when Xbox bought Activision, and then you see like Sony they've kept the obviously they kept the deal for exclusive content like early access and stuff for COD, even though like the latest Call of Duty is not getting good reviews, but
yeah,
no one really plays
reviews
it
have
for
been
the
bad.
no one really plays it for the story campaign. It's all multiplayer. That's all
Yeah, apparently the
you know.
multiplayer has been very well received.
Well, that's where they put all their effort into.
Yeah,
They don't give a shit. They were like, oh, okay, here's a 5 hour campaign.
Hmm.
All right, we've done the bare minimum, but that's they know that's what people will be playing the multiplayer after. That's what it's there. That's essentially what it is. I mean,
They
they
didn't
could have
even
done
do the
what
bare minimum. It was like they made the campaign in like 14 months or something because um, I think that Infinity Ward weren't supposed to be doing something for next year, and this
mm,
was supposed to be a DLC for Modern Warfare 2 originally,
mm,
and then Activision higher ups were just like, no, you're making it a full game now, and you've got a year. Away you go. So that's why it's like so in
mm.
such a state apparently, but. It seems like the multiplayer has been really well received, so that's what's gonna. I mean, that's why people buy it. Obviously, people do play the campaigns because they are. It's basically like your big summer blockbuster equivalent, and they're always like entertaining, even if the plots are pretty stupid and at times mildly offensive. But people are going to play the campaign, but they're going to keep coming back for the multiplayer. That's the main reason they buy it. So, I would like to see them take a bit more care because the campaigns have the potential to be good. Like Infinite Warfare was actually a really good campaign. I want to see them do more stuff like that with like side missions and everything, and actually have a decent sort of story in it, even if they got a bit too jingoistic at them on the last level. But yeah, wait and see what Microsoft want to do now they own it. I guess if they want to change anything
Well,
up.
people want to bring back old IPs. I mean, they're in possession of a lot of IPs that they can revive. So that'll be good. I'm looking forward to it. I don't know if Xbox would do that. I mean, they're in possession of a lot of IPs that are still lying dormant, so I don't know if they'll do that. I mean, they did bring back like Fable and Perfect Dark,
Killer
but
Instinct 10 years ago.
Killer Instinct, there's talk about that being brought back. So wasn't that owned by Embracer Group at one point? The studio,
Oh no, that was Amazon.
Amazon.
Amazon bought Double Helix.
Mm,
Yeah, and then Iron Galaxy made the following seasons. But apparently, they're doing like a big patch for Killer Instinct 2013 now.
really? I
Yeah,
mean,
which is a bit weird,
it's
but
a good game, but like
it's a very good game.
it lacked a story campaign at the time of release. They did release one, um,
Shadow Lords.
yeah, and people really liked Killer Instinct, but it's just a sort of like they didn't update it or nothing. Like you said, they changed the studio and everything. But it'd be good if they brought it back because I enjoyed it when I played it, and I know a lot of like professional um fighting game players loved it. So yeah, it'd be good if they like, sort of brought it back, which I think they will. I think they will. There's just too many. There's there's a lot of titles and games that Xbox have now uh, are now in the possession of, and it'd be silly for them to not release it. But the problem is like with anything, games cost a lot of money. It
Mm.
costs a lot of money to make. AAA game studio game development is expensive, and even Sony with all their success with their first party single player games are now more open to doing live service games. They want more live service because it brings in money.
Well,
It brings
apparently,
in a
they've
lot of
pushed
money.
half of those back now as well. So we're
Mm,
looking to do 12 over the next 5 years or something, and now they've pushed six of them back.
well, they've been let cut, purse strings have
Yeah,
been
loads of their
tightened.
studios have been cut. And Microsoft
Uh,
have been cutting people as well, but not really in Xbox. I think they cut like 10,000 people a few months
uh,
back. But a lot of
uh,
it is because everyone overhired during the pandemic. I think
uh,
Microsoft took on like nearly 50,000 more people during the course of the pandemic, and now they've let 10,000 go. So they've still kind of grown in net, but there's still 10,000 people that have lost a job. But their studios haven't really been losing anyone, whereas, like you say, a lot of Sony studios recently have been losing people.
and there's old Nintendo just quietly churning
Beavering
out
away.
another fucking Mario game. Another Mario game that got nominated for Game of the Year for some reason. Was it Mario Land Wonder? I
Mario
love
Land
Mario, but
Wonder.
fuck me, they do churn out the same bloody game, man. I mean, like the Game Awards is has the nominees have been announced. I have been voting. Obviously, some of the votes I don't know who to vote for, especially esports. I'm like, "How the fuck do I care about that?" But yeah, big snub for a massive snub for Hogwarts Legacy. Didn't get nominated in one category. It got nominated in the Grammys though for best music. But another thing, Starfield, no game of the year. It got nominated, but not in the category I thought it would be nominated in. Game of the year. It didn't get nominated at all, which is a fucking shame. Excuse my language. Um, what's the nominees? I think Spider-Man 2, Zelda, Alan Wake, Baldur's
Baldur's
Gate
Gate,
3,
Resident Evil 4.
Resident Evil 4 remake, which is a good game, but it's a remake, man.
Mm.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah, I've seen some
I
debate about that, whether or not remakes should be allowed to be
mean,
nominated.
yeah, it should. I mean, if it's it's still a remake, it's a new game, and it's completely
It's
built
not,
from
yeah, I mean,
the
it's not like it's a remaster where they just like
master.
reskinned it.
Yeah. I think Alan Wake 2. A lot of these are all sequels, and
Mm.
Starfield was like the like an original IP, and he get nominated, which I thought was I knew which was a shame. So I think it deserved to be there because it's innovative. Or people would say it's not innovative, but it's a new IP. They tried something new. A lot of people deride it. Um, same people who love Skyrim who were saying, well, they didn't try anything new. It's just Skyrim in space. I'm just like, oh,
Hmm.
Jesus Christ.
I know
Here
what I
we go
wanted.
again. Mm.
But yeah, I
But
mean, like all the games there, the lowest game ranked in that category is 89. That's Alan Wake 2. All the others are over 90. So I can see
mm,
kind of where they're going if you're going on like the highest rated games of the year.
Wraith.
But then where's Street Fighter 6? Like Street Fighter 6 is rated higher than a couple of those games, and that's not there.
Yeah,
It kind of,
fighting games is really like
well,
well,
it's
game
like
of
the
the year is
same with
just,
like Forza Horizon, isn't it? Like that
mm,
always reviews very, very well, but then you never gets
those,
nominated when it
those,
probably should.
those sort of games never really do because game of the year is always about story based games, except for Mario Land Wonder, Mario
Hmm.
Brothers Wonder. I don't know what the hell that's about. I don't even know it released, to be honest. It's like, oh, it's another Mario game. It's like Pokemon. At least a fucking another Pokemon game. Like, oh,
Hmm.
more of the same, innit? People always like said the last Pokemon game like was shitty and janky, but they still loved it because it's Pokemon. They loved the jank. It's all right for one IP to be janky and shitty
It
on
makes more
release.
money than
Uh,
God, and it looks
yeah,
like a late PS1 game.
yeah,
I honestly, I'm not a fan of Pokemon anyway. I've only ever played the first one, but I think it's outrageous the amount of money they make and the way their games look.
yeah. Okay, yeah. So, are you gonna watch the Game Awards? What time are they on here
I think
in Blighty?
I think they're always on like really late, aren't they? So yeah, probably not. Um, Let me see if I can find out.
Mm.
12:30 a.m. plus 1 GMT. So does that mean 1:30 a.m.? And that's on a Thursday. So yeah, that's not happening. I'm not going to watch that for
Mm.
like 3 hours or whatever and then get up for work 2 hours later. Yeah, I'll just have to check out the highlights.
Probably the best thing for it, to be honest. Like Game Awards are good for trailers and announcements. That's all
Mm.
I really care about. The awards themselves, not so much. I mean, who do you think is going to win Best Game of the Year?
Baldur's Gate
Um,
easily.
Baldur's Gate 3.
It's
It's
that or
been
it's that or Zelda.
uh,
I mean, I can see Zelda winning because a
so
lot of game journalists like really love
l-
Zelda, and I love Zelda.
yeah, I
Breath of
do.
the Wild, I thought was okay. I would have given that a 7 out of 10, and
Really? Wow.
yeah, I thought it was okay. It wasn't what I wanted from a Zelda game. I own Tears of the Kingdom. I haven't even played it yet.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but like the older games and like up to like Twilight Princess is my favorite Zelda game, so that's what I want out of a Zelda game. But a lot of game journos like love Zelda, so I could see the voting panel being like, "No, it's Zelda. Fuck it. Any year a Zelda game comes out, Zelda's winning." but I think it'll be Baldur's
Mm,
Gate. But I wouldn't
I,
be entirely surprised if Zelda pips it. But Baldur's
I'll
Gate, I
be.
think, is going to be the one.
I think Baldur's Gate is going to win it, like via popular vote, because public gets to vote, and I think it's going to win. I'd be like you say, I wouldn't be surprised if Zelda won it. I don't think it should, but I wouldn't be surprised, and I'd be quite annoyed if it did win because Baldur's Gate sort of reinvigorated, not reinvigorated, but it got a lot of people interested in sort of Dungeons and Dragons type games. I know a lot of people complained about the game, the actual combat, because it's all dice rolls and chance, and not the. But I think that's what adds to the charm. It's something a bit different. So,
I mean, it's supposed to be a D&D game, so that makes
mm,
sense. But I
mm,
am surprised how well it did because it is kind of I don't want to say
niche.
niche, but like it's not what the general public generally goes for. But it kind of
Mm,
feels like it just came out of nowhere and took the whole
mm.
like game scene by storm. So it'd feel wrong if it didn't win, given how
I
big it
think,
blew up.
I think it just proves that gamers are horny, are very horny because people are speed running how fast you can sleep with the bear. And I just think, wow, these people are either they've got a lot of time on their hands, or they're just really horny.
Or both, which is terrifying to think about.
Is and
Constantly horny and a lot of free time.
I mean, I do like romancing games. I am a big sucker for a good romancing games. A lot of my favorite RPGs contain romance, and I think that's a good thing apart from in games. Um, which is weird because Japanese like sensibilities, like films and especially their anime, have a lot of romance in it. Will they? Won't they? Sort of a lot of teasing and stuff. But in their games, there's not so much romance. I mean,
Mm,
Final Fantasy has elements of romance, and but they don't actually like allow you to romance specific characters.
yeah, if
It's
they have a
either
romance, it's like set. It's like
set
Tidus and Yuna, or like
and
Squall and Renoa.
yeah. Um, I think 16 does have a romance in it, but it's all scripted.
I have no idea. I've been dodging spoilers because I'm not allowed to play it yet.
Shit. Sorry, I gave away a spoiler. That's
That's
not
all right.
been
That's
nominated.
that's not a spoiler. It's like virtually nothing. Don't worry
That's
about that.
that's not been nominated either, which is surprising because Final Fantasy thought it would have
Yeah,
got
it
a
feels
nod.
like I think that got like 86, 87 meta or something, but it feels like
Mm,
it was received lower by like the general populace. Like, it feels
mm.
like outside of it being pushed as a big exclusive, it didn't really set the world on fire, which is a shame because I'm excited for it because a lot of the development staff worked on like 14. Like 14 is probably my favorite game of all time at this point. So I was like, a big new first mainline Final Fantasy by some of those people, especially some of the people that worked on the first expansion Heaven's Ward, which I love. So I don't know. I still very much want to play it, just not enough to shell out on a PS5 just for that. So hopefully it gets announced for PC at least soon. But yeah, it feels like the reception to it among gamers was lower than critics' reception from what I've sort of seen online.
It sold less than what Sony were expecting, to be honest. They thought it would sell more. I know they said they're happy with how much it sold, but it generally fell short of expectations. Obviously, being a PlayStation exclusive, it has less chance to make money because you're sort of cutting out PC and Xbox players. Even though like their PS5 fan base is larger, there's more PS5s out there in the world. It still hasn't sold as much as people as the shareholders,
Yeah,
the
I
money
mean,
men thought.
you got to also take into account that it's still relatively early in the generation, so it's like you want to sell a game as an exclusive, as like a third party exclusive. You're better off doing it later in the gen when there's more consoles out there.
Mm,
Because it's always going to be the case that like a percentage of a console's fan base is going to be interested in a specific game. Like
mm,
PS4 sold what, like 120 million or something, and like God of War and Spider-Man that were like up now near like 20 million, which is a lot.
mm,
But when you take that as a percentage of the entire fan base, it's like what, 15% of them or something, less than that actually went out and bought the game. So if you're going to sell a game as an exclusive, you need a bigger kind of like units sold base to sell to. And early in the gen's
Mm.
probably not the time to do it.
Spider-Man 2 got nominated. I heard that was very buggy.
Was
I
it?
seen, yeah, been seeing bugs, people posting videos of the bugs it had. I don't know if they patched. I think they might have probably patched out a few of it, but it was quite buggy. It's quite
Surprising because
funny.
Insomniac are usually really solid. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's maybe it
it
was a bit
happens.
rushed.
It happens, man. Yeah, yeah, but I've been seeing a lot of bugs, and especially on there. There was when people complained about Starfield's menu being very basic. The menu on
It's such a
Spider-Man
stupid complaint.
2, the menu on Spider-Man 2 was bugged. So
Mm.
that was funny. So, but anyway, yeah, it's such a stupid complaint, but there you are. We are gamers are can be stupid. Yeah, we can be quite stupid
Mm.
as well. So yeah, it's another thing before we wrap up. Um, there was a PS5 Slim. Is that
Oh
right?
yeah, there
That got
was.
that. There was.
PS5 very marginally smaller.
It's still it's a behemoth. That console. It's
It's
huge.
absurdly
Mm.
big. It's offensively large.
I still haven't bought one. Let me ask you one question. What would it take for you to buy a PS5? Is there any sort of title or anything like that will make you think, yeah, I'll probably buy one. Would you buy it if it's cheaper, or would you buy one when it near the end of its life cycle?
If a
What would it
new
take?
if a new mainline Final Fantasy made by people that worked on Final Fantasy 14 didn't do it, then nothing's going to do it. I mean, I suppose what would do
Mm,
it is if it was fully exclusive, I'd be like, all right, fine. Or if like Sony announced they were buying Square Enix, I'd be like, okay, fine, I'll buy a
mm,
PS5. But like so far, there's nothing. Like their games are coming to PC anyway, and yeah, they're coming late, but so much to play that I don't care about waiting for a year or two or whatever. Like I still haven't played Spider-Man, the first one. I had that on PS4 and just never played it. I put it on PC like 6 months ago. I've played like 20 minutes of it. There's just far too many games out there now for me to care about having to wait a little bit. Um, so yeah, at this point, probably nothing. Maybe if they announced a brand new Wipeout, um, and you could get and it had a VR mode and you could get a PS5 and a PSVR for like 400 quid together, maybe then because Wipeout Omega Collection in VR and PS4 was really good.
would you
But yeah, it's not really anything to be honest.
what about Last of Us Part 3, which I'm gonna say, I think I said this already, that it's not gonna come out until the last year of the PS5. They always
Yeah,
do that.
that's
So
how they do.
mm. Then when PS6 gets released, then they can release a
Remaster.
remaster. Mm.
And then
So
3 years later a full remake.
yeah,
Um, I mean, if they announce Last of Us 3, obviously I'll play it because I really like the first one. I like the second one a bit less because it's a bit
yeah,
too long, but it is very good.
I like it
Um,
less as well. It's too grim as well for
it
sometimes.
is too grim.
Yeah.
The first one had moments like the giraffe where it's like it kind
Mm,
of lightened things up a bit and sort of yeah. The second one is just constantly grim and it feels like it's like beating you around the head with cycles of violence are bad over and over and you're like, yes, I know, an
mm,
idiot, a 10-year-old probably knows that.
mm.
Um, it's a very good game, but it's too long and it's a bit too grim. But yeah, if they announced the three, I'd want to play it, but I'd just be like, yeah, I'll wait for it on PC. Maybe it'll take a couple of years, but that's fine. But
Yeah,
what about
okay.
you? What would convince you?
Probably that, to be honest. I really like Last of Us. Yeah, like we said, second one was good, really good. Not as good as the first. I think the first has had the perfect length.
Mm,
Um,
it's
it had the
perfectly paced,
perfect
that game.
perfect tone. It starts off grim, obviously, with the prologue. It sort of keeps that same grimness. It's not so depressing. It's so grim and so like uh unforgiving, hopelessness that it's just like you afterwards. You're just like, oh, that that's just I come away from that thing feeling really up, not not unfulfilled, but really like just sort of like
Drained.
drained. It's a lot. I mean, it's a good story. I liked it. I like the dual protagonist. No, don't care what anyone said about Abby. I liked her section. I think it went on for a bit too long, but yeah, I hopefully they will cut back in the part three, sort of slim it down a bit, and have some moments of happiness for fuck's sake. You know, the good part about part one was Joel rediscovering his humanity and his love for Ellie.
And Ellie
Uh,
discovering the world.
yeah, so that
So
was moments. It was still, it's it's post apocalyptic, but it's like it had really sort of sad moments in it. But two is just it starts off sad, it just gets sadder. Ellie never got to say goodbye to Joel. Everyone seems to die and end up miserable and alone. And it's just got too much after. I was like, come on, man. Neil Druckmann, what happened to you, man? Like, were you going through something when you came up with the story? Oh, geez, man, you really got some dark thoughts in your head. So hopefully they just line it, like, have that sort of tone that the
keep
first
it
one
light.
had. Keep it a bit like I like dark, and I think the first one had the perfect sort of
Mm.
balance between it. The
To take
second
a
one just
cue
went,
from its difficulty modes, it was grounded.
mm,
First one felt
exactly.
grounded. Like it was a mix of everything. It was very dark, it was very sad,
Mm,
but then there
mm,
was uplifting moments.
mm-hmm.
That's what life is. It's life's a bit of everything. And then the second one was just like the moments of levity were very few and far between, like the bit with like the barn
Mm,
dance and stuff like that. You get
mm.
the odd moment in a flashback and then like 10 hours of fucking grimdark
The bar,
sadism.
the barn dance had it started off well, then it ended up in a massive with what happened with Joel. I don't want to give away spoilers because the game's still kind of new and they're doing a remaster of the part two, so I don't want to give that. But then that ends sad. It's just everything's just sad and like depressing, and like it makes you just want to like think, what's the point of it all?
It's very heavy going.
Mm,
I mean, it took me 35 hours to get through it, which is too long. Like you could have cut at least 5 hours of that and it still would have been a bit long.
mm.
Um, and it was just, I had to just sort of play it in a like 2, 3 hour chunks and just
The
walk away from it every now and
dog,
then.
the dog dies. The bloody poor dog. The way that you play with, who rescues you a lot when you play as Abby, who's a part of that, and bang, dead. Oh, sorry, spoiler, but it's really sad, man. I'm just like, and there's that other scene where that lady dies, and so yeah, it's just sad. I can rattle off all this really depressing moments, and probably have a two or three or moments of like happiness, but there you are. That's it. But
Well,
anyway, man,
before
I
we
think
wrap up, I have a quick question for you,
ooh,
given that the time of the year we're coming up
Christmas.
to, well, even before that, we're coming up to Black Friday. Is there anything you're
Uh,
looking to get your hands on in the Black Friday sales? Even though they tend
uh,
to be shit these days, unfortunately.
there's nothing. I've been on Amazon looking, and everything that I want is not on sale, or it's very slightly discounted. And they just want to get rid of their old shit.
Yeah,
Stuff that doesn't really sell. It's a few, or it's a year, a couple of years old. They want to get new stock in. There's nothing really I want to get. Black Friday. I mean, the concept of Black Friday when it first came out really depressed me because it just shows how much of a consumer-driven culture we are. We're willing to trample on our fellow man to get a slightly
get
cheaper
10% off a
TV.
TV.
Yeah, we act. It's just we act like animals. That's fundamentally what we are. We like to make out that we're intelligent and higher than highest like form of life form in this planet, but when it comes down to it, we just act like savage brute animals. And that sort of depresses me. I don't mean to be. I'm in the depressed mood now. Like I'm just sort of like become
Yeah,
a bit of a downer.
Neil
So
Druckmann.
God damn it. but yeah, I just hated that concept of Black Friday and watching, especially in America. We didn't do it. We didn't really do it over here. It's just funny because we adopt a lot of American sort of customs, so to speak, and we didn't do it over here. But when you watch videos of the early days of Black Friday,
Mm,
it was depressing. It's just like what, full grown adults punching and stepping over each other,
yeah.
fighting over a piece of chunk of plastic and
Well, I mean,
metal.
they made a whole South Park episode about it, didn't they?
It was a good episode.
It
South Park. You can
was.
always rely on South Park, man, to make it to make light of current situations.
Like the
Uh,
first couple of years over when they first started doing it over here, Amazon used to have really good Black Friday sales. Like there would
mm,
actual stuff you wanted on genuinely deep discounts. And now it's
mm.
like you say, it's like 50% off a 3 pack of USB cables. So brilliant. 27% off an electric toothbrush. It's like you're just literally clearing out all the shit that hasn't sold throughout the rest of the year.
Yeah, exactly.
But
That's all it
but
is now. Yeah.
other retailers tend to have good sales though. So I'm going to be looking on stuff like Steam and like Humble Bundle and um, like the game collection and stuff like that. So I want to. I still haven't picked up Street Fighter 6. I've been waiting for it to hit like 30 quid, and then just other stuff came out. And so if that hits like 20 quid, I'll probably grab a copy of that. But other than that, I'm not sure there's anything else I'm really looking to pick up.
Do you know what I've discovered since moving is that I own too much crap.
Yeah,
I own a lot of shit, and I was like, where am I going to put everything? It was such a struggle to sort of accommodate all my many, 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 many games that I own and
DVDs and
figures,
Blu-rays and books and
books and DVDs. That's why I'm going more digital. Obviously the Baldur's Gate when that comes out, I'll buy that, and I want to buy the physical because the deluxe edition looks absolutely fantastic. It's like a big thank you to the fans, I think,
mm,
from the studio because it done so well. So I'm going to buy that. That's good, but I just realized I can't really buy that much because I got nowhere to put it. It just accumulates like I just accumulate too much stuff.
I mean, you
I
can see
love the
my shelves
stuff.
are overflowing.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's just I love, but the thing is, I'm a sucker, man. Like when we go to, well, we haven't done it so much when we go to conventions, but we do tend to buy figures, but we haven't done that so far. Speaking of which, like this sort of ties into what we're going to be doing in for the future of this channel. We have been going to conventions. We went to since we last done the podcast. We've been to EGX, which yeah,
Sucked.
yeah. If I was to give it, if I was to make a tier list, which I might do for a video,
Mm.
it's a good idea.
Mention a
Uh,
tier list.
yeah.
EGXE.
I mean, we did go to one recently. I made a video of it. Let me see if I can remember the name. It is called Anna Manga Pop. That's the one.
Is there
And it
anything
turns
on the
out
tier list that's lower than an F?
that I don't even know if I would bother putting it on the list. It's just so bad.
There is
It's
no
just fun.
tier.
It's funny because it does it. I thought it was just a Brighton thing, but it's actually like it
Yeah,
goes.
there's
It's on
some
other
Edinburgh
cities,
and Cardiff, I think.
and I'm just like, what's the point? What what like it was? I mean, I don't want to shit on it too much. I think they're relatively new, so who knows? They could grow bigger. But my God, it was very very bad for us. Like we've been to many sort of cons. Hyper Japan at MCM, London Anime and Gaming Con. Um, but but this one was
The
like it
worst.
was the worst I've been. I mean, like I don't want the people behind it probably put a lot of work into that, which good. That's good. I like to see these grow, but it is something you bring your kids to, and you spend an hour or so. You will be just a day out for the kids to dress up in cosplay and walk around. There wasn't even anything to buy. It was very poor. But
I'm looking
there
on
you
their
are.
website just to, before we move off that subject, and it's in Plymouth, Bristol, Hold on, where has it gone? Plymouth, Bristol, Cardiff, Manchester, Sheffield, London, apparently. I don't know where that was in London, but and then Brighton. So it's like they're doing it more widely than any other con. I suppose it helps that
It's
it's a small
cheap.
one.
It's cheap. Yeah, they
But yeah, I
just
mean,
they
it's
just
probably a very new con, and it's there. It is very small, so it feels a bit bad to shit on it, but it wasn't worth going to.
I have to give our honest opinion. It wasn't very good. I mean, I hope it grows like LA, like London Anime and Gaming Con. That's grown. That's doing well for itself. But I kind of feel like it's going to get sort of blown out the water because there's a big con coming to the UK, the Anime Con, which we'll be hopefully we'll be attending next year in February, which is a week or two before London, the LAGC. So that's going to probably take a lot of the attention away from that con
Mm,
to the Anime Con, and the Anime Con is one of the biggest cons in America. It's not the biggest, but it's one of the biggest. And it was quite a shock to see that they're going to be coming to London, and we're going to be going to that. Mark my words. But anyway, that's all. We let's wrap this up. Yeah, I've for the channel, I'm still doing the EA Sports FC playthrough with the Create Your Own Club. The mighty Game Chums FC are going to take the world by storm. And yeah, and hopefully we'll get back to doing Halo. We don't need to finish
in a
that.
while.
It's been a hot minute since we've done that because at the moment we're turning to like a vlog channel.
Mm,
So we plan to have a sort of Christmassy video for you to come out. Where we'll be going on a little tour of establishments around London.
say no more.
That's going to be a very tiring day for
Mm,
us, but
it's
it
gonna be
should
a
be
long one.
enjoy. It's going to be a long one. Wear comfortable shoes, but we'll be making a video of that. But depending on how the night goes, progressively goes, who knows?
The end of the
Uh,
video might be a mess.
probably will be a hot mess, but it'll be fun, and hopefully we'll have that up just before Christmas. So that'll be like our Christmassy video for everyone. But other than that, I think that's all we got. Have you got? We got nothing else sort of cooking apart from
When
this
I'm
podcast.
when I'm better, I'm gonna try and get back to doing some exploring Game Pass stuff because we haven't done that in a while either. I want to try and get back to doing some more sort of random one-offs like that, but just haven't had the time recently because we've had a lot of social stuff going on the last sort of month or so, and then just being horribly ill hasn't helped.
Yeah,
But hopefully, maybe the next few weeks, try and get some stuff done. It's just trying to find the time to do it. Working full time and everything. It's just where do you find the time to even do the stuff you want to do?
exactly.
Yeah, that's the plan
Yeah,
anyway.
that's the plan. Hopefully, we'll get another podcast up before Christmas. And yeah, I think that'll be it. It's yeah, sorry for the 2 month delay, but like Ross says, we have been busy, family stuff, weddings, moving, illnesses. I was ill as well at one point. I had a terrible throat infection, which I had to take antibiotics for, but that's all cleared up, as you can hear.
Certainly, it's the time of year for it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
But yeah, we'll be thanks for watching, thanks for listening. Please check out our other socials, Instagram, X, no, Twitter, and yeah,
Let's not make X happen. It's just
yeah, yeah,
I
let's
even
not
hate
make
that
that.
it's changed the name of the fucking app on my home screen on my phone. That's just every time I look at it, I'm like, oh, go away.
Yeah, it's terrible. But I don't want to go on threads because I'm not going to get Mark Zuckerberg any more of my bloody time and data
Hmm.
with his
Kermit the Frog
what's
voice.
yeah, and guy thinks he's good at jujitsu. He wants to be a
Hmm.
fighter. He's just going to get. I hope someone just knocks him out because I just don't like the twat. And I don't see why everyone likes all these big tech guys. They're not nice people. They're assholes. They're billionaires. They don't give a fuck about people. All right. Just
Really
because they
don't get
peel,
that. Billionaire
just
stands. What is going on with the world? Don't
like
understand.
people sucking off Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and all them. They don't give a fuck about you people. Anyway, we're going to leave it there. You got anything else to say before we go? You fuck. All right.
Wow.
Anyway,
Is that how
thanks
we're
for
going to
watching.
sign off on this?
That's how we're going to sign off. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And you can catch this podcast on every podcast streaming platform apart from Apple Music. Or boo to Apple. Yeah. Anyway, see you guys later. Thanks. See you again. Bye.